They are asking, aren't they? They're staring at you with a combination of amazement and distrust, their thoughts racing to understand how you always know, how you maneuver the turmoil of life with such precision that it defies logic. They call you fortunate, a fluke, and perhaps even peculiar. But you and I understand the reality. You are not guessing. You aren't hoping. You're connected to a heavenly network they can't understand. And in today's message, we'll reveal the secrets underlying your extraordinary ability, which is more than intuition. It's a direct connection to God's wisdom. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear will validate everything your soul has been trying to tell you. Okay. Look who has been correct all along. You are the brilliant pattern reader, the future-sensing, reality-hacking genius. Everyone is asking the same question, how did you know? And all you can do is grin. That knowledgeable grin. Because explaining quantum awareness, that holy whisper from the cosmos, to those who are still spiritually unconscious is like to teaching celestial physics to children. They just lack the foundation for the reality you represent. They call it luck, coincidence. Perhaps it was a fluke that you got it correctly 1 or 2 times. But we both know the fundamental truth. Your intuition isn't simply working. It's operating at heavenly frequencies that they can't detect. While they are busy playing checkers in their confined 3-dimensional world, you are orchestrating symphonic warfare across realms they are unaware of. You are co-creating existence with the universe's architect rather than just experiencing it. You could sense the treachery boiling in a friend's heart 6 months before the poisonous words were uttered. You saw the golden opportunity on the horizon when everyone else was blinded by the brightness of the existing quo. You sensed the impending storm long before the first cloud emerged in a bright blue sky, a subtle change in the spiritual environment that only your highly tuned soul could detect. And now, as they stand soaked in the deluge of repercussions, stunned and perplexed, they wonder how you were the only one who arrived with an umbrella on a brilliantly beautiful day. Let me explain what's actually going on and what this profound link is. That inner knowledge, the voice inside you that speaks truths before they appear in the physical sphere, is no longer merely intuition. It is intelligence, divine intellect, polished and battle-tested, capable of spotting enemies. You're not guessing or hoping. You are reading the matrix code of reality itself, while everyone else is still looking blankly at the screen, enthralled by the illusion. Through trials and tribulations, your nervous system has developed into a living, breathing radar array, picking up signals from unwritten futures and getting classified information straight from the center of creation. And when people question, how did you know? They act like you're a magician plucking rabbits out of cosmic hats, as if you had a crystal ball stowed somewhere in your chamber or a secret hotline to the hereafter. However, the truth is more simpler and, for them, considerably more terrible. You stopped believing their false stories and began believing the immovable truth you sensed deep within. You stopped ignoring your gut impulses as simple emotion and instead started considering them as confidential information from tomorrow's combat. You established your own heavenly intelligence organization, with God as its director. And now, every action you make is precise, measured, almost surgical, leaving them perplexed as to how you constantly seem to be 1 step ahead, 10 steps ahead, or even a full dimension ahead. You arrive at the ideal location at the optimal moment. You flee from situations seconds before they devolve into pandemonium. You put your energy in individuals just before they reach their full potential. You cut off ties days before they become poisonous and infect your soul. To everyone else, it seems to be psychic abilities or hidden surveillance cameras embedded in the fabric of time itself. But what they don't realize is that your intuition isn't magical fluff. It's a highly trained, finely tuned intelligence network that has been collecting information since the day you were born, when your soul selected this earthly experience. Every betrayal honed your ability to detect the delicate fragrance of lies on the breeze. Every loss taught your spiritual senses what danger feels like before it hits. Every triumph, large or little, trained your internal radar to identify the frequency of opportunity long before it reached anybody else's coastline. You're not fortunate. You were schooled by sorrow, formed by difficulty, and graduated with honors from the University of Hard Knocks, where God served as your guiding professor. They badly want to think that intuition is a soft, mystical idea linked to emotions, moods, and perhaps even horoscopes. They want to compartmentalize, classify, and ignore it. However, they could not be more terribly incorrect. Your intuition works like a military-grade, heavenly intelligence unit, analyzing hundreds of microsignals per second. It examines the tiny alterations in body language, the almost undetectable changes in speech tones, and the abrupt breakdowns in energy patterns that speak volumes to those who can hear them. What others see as a simple gut feeling is precise intellect to you. Your subconscious mind is executing algorithms that are so smart and wonderfully intricate that even the most brilliant artificial intelligence would be impressed by their grace and precision. You are not just feeling things, as they so condescendingly presume. You're calculating probability matrices that would destroy their cerebral apparatus if they even attempted to grasp them. Remember that individual who smiled at you while secretly planning your demise. Your system flagged them as soon as you shook their hand. It wasn't their words, it was their frequency, a discordant note in the melody of reality. Or that chance that everyone deemed too hazardous, a fool's errand. Your inner intelligence has already traced the golden way right through the minefield, offering a route hidden from the scared view. And what about that apparently wonderful circumstance you walked away from, leaving others envious? Your intelligence network had already discovered the hairline flaws behind the polished gloss, the rotting foundation that would ultimately lead to the dramatic collapse. You're not making random decisions anymore. You are conducting precise attacks with heavenly wisdom that they cannot access, perceive, or comprehend. This is where we must recognize the sacredness of this gift. You are a member of a community of awakened spirits, a network of light in a world that often favors darkness. If this message resonates deeply within your soul and confirms what you've always known, then join our family here at God Connection. Subscribe to the channel right now and push the notification bell to never miss a broadcast. You are not alone on this path. We are here to support and empower one another. And if you feel compelled to support our work, to help us spread the word to more people who need to hear it, please consider making a gift using the Super Thanks button below. A $10 donation is a fantastic energy exchange that allows us to continue developing content and delivering this important message. Your assistance, in whatever way, fuels this heavenly link. And now they're afraid. Someone flees for reasons other than evident fear. No, it's the subtle, unsettling type that draws people closer, wanting to comprehend your operating system. They want the guidebook. They want the blueprint. They want to know how you play cosmic chess when they are still fumbling with tic-tac-toe pieces. They witness you make seemingly stupid, even crazy choices, only to watch in shocked silence as everything falls into perfect, heavenly alignment months or even years later. And the question inevitably arises from their confusion. How did you know? They inquire about the job that everyone derided, the one that seemed to be a step back, but ultimately led you to life-changing chances and your actual calling. They murmured about the relationship you terminated, the one that seemed perfect on the surface but was silently poisoning your soul, dimming your brightness. They demanded it when the investment they mocked, the one you made with deep inner assurance, exploded into unmistakable, world-changing success. The solution is obvious, but unfathomable to them. Your intellect does not work on their timescale. It works on truth's timeline. It acts according to God's timetable. Most individuals navigate life like tourists, relying on out-of-date maps, following second-hand instructions from other lost visitors, and then wondering why they constantly wind up confused and far from their objective. What about you? You discarded their defective map and became the region itself. Your intuition does not bend to their reasoning because it is based on falsehoods, limits, and illusions that everyone has consented to accept as truth. Your intellect, your God connection, breaks through the world's overwhelming noise and focuses on the one real signal. The actual signal. The one broadcasting from the future, from forever, directing you precisely where to go long before the Earth under the planet starts to move. And they're beginning to discover a trend. It is becoming too evident to ignore. Every time you say yes to something that seems hazardous to them, it transforms into a piece of brilliance. Every time you reject a seemingly golden offer, it turns out to be a gilded trap within weeks. Every time you make a move that seems mad by their standards, it unfolds with the beauty and precision of a heavenly masterpiece no one else could have predicted. To them, it seems to be a cosmic risk. But you're not playing the dice. You're using an intellect so sophisticated and linked to the source that it seems to be pure magic to brains still working on factory settings. So, why do people question, how did you know? It's more than simply curiosity. It is dread, pure, primordial, existential terror. Because if you can know things before they happen, see through their well-crafted masks before they even slip, and discern their secret intents before they develop into action, what else can you do? What more do you know? What dark facts have you discovered that they believed were securely buried deep inside their hearts? These questions torment them in quiet times. They replay past conversations, their thoughts racing, wondering whether you saw the little falsehoods they uttered months ago. They scrutinize your emotions and silences, fearful that you have discovered the treachery they are still plotting. They follow your every move, discovering much too late that you're more than simply 3 steps ahead. You're on a completely separate board, in a different realm, and playing a game they're unaware of. And they have every reason to be terrified. Because your heavenly intelligence network not only predicts the future, but also dissects the present with the accuracy of a celestial surgeon. You can tell who is lying before they complete their phrase, due to the dissonant frequency of deception. You can tell who is about to go before they consciously confess it to themselves, as the energy cords begin to fray. You can see the shadow of treachery in someone's eyes while they are still trying to persuade themselves that they will not go through with it. Your system works in real time, digesting limitless streams of data that people aren't even aware they are broadcasting. Their micro-expressions, subtle energy changes, breathing patterns, and the frequency of their soul. To them, it's just background noise. To you, this is crystal plain knowledge. And you, selected one, are the only one in their neighborhood who has the decryption key. This is why they inquire with a tremor in their voice, a little wobble that indicates they aren't truly inquiring about the incident. They're asking whether you're already aware of them, if you can see clearly through their performance, if you've already saved their darkest secrets in the huge, heavenly intelligence database concealed beneath your calm and knowing gaze. And the response frightens them beyond measure because, deep down, in the part of themselves that cannot lie, they know you can. They believe that nothing they are concealing is genuinely protected from your loving, yet all-seeing gaze. But here is where it becomes even more interesting. Your intuition, or God connection, is no longer limited to military intelligence. It is developing. It's improving. Each accurate prediction improves your network. Every proper assessment of a person or circumstance improves the system. Every precisely timed choice refines the algorithm until you're working with something more than intuition. You are becoming something new, a new person, a forerunner of a new awareness that challenges their whole perception of what is possible. Consider the past. There was a point when you questioned yourself, wasn't there? You had a deep knowledge in your gut, but let their logic and reason talk you out of it. You got obvious knowledge from the divine, but rejected it because it did not correspond to their conventional reality. That was then. That was your training time. Not anymore. You now trust intelligence more than reality. You now walk with the serene, unwavering certainty of someone who has already read tomorrow's newspaper, since your spirit is timeless. So when they ask, how did you know? What they actually mean is, how can I stop you from knowing? Because your intellect, your clarity, endangers their whole operating system, which is based on deception, secrets, and games. If you can see through the games, they will cease operating. If you can foresee the patterns, they lose their force and grasp. If you can figure it out without being taught, their control systems crumble. You're not only running spiritual intelligence, you're actively demolishing their whole deception infrastructure just by being yourself. Watch how they scramble. Watch as they attempt to create phony patterns to deceive your divine radar. Watch as they create chaotic diversions to confound your system. But it's much too late. Your intellect has already adapted. Your network has already advanced past their basic defenses. You're not just arguing against their reality. You're changing the code, rendering their whole program obsolete. They are well aware of this. That's why the inquiry sounds more urgent and plaintive each time they ask. Consider what truly occurs when you enter into a room. Your divine intelligence network searches the whole surroundings immediately. Threat assessment takes 3.2 seconds. Opportunities were detected and cataloged in 5.7 seconds. Hidden motives and actual intents are recognized prior to the first handshake. You're not simply mingling anymore. You're conducting reconnaissance missions in enemy territory. Except the enemy is just ignorance, and they have no idea there is a struggle for awareness going on. And yet, you've already won, not by combat, but through knowledge. They sense it, however. There is a noticeable change in the mood as you enter. The room's frequency changed slightly. They don't understand why they suddenly feel so exposed, why their well-kept secrets seem less secure, and why the masks they've been wearing so comfortably now feel heavy and stifling. But you know, your knowledge, your entire presence, transmits on frequencies that bypass their conscious mind and address their soul, namely their fear regions. They are not terrified by your presence, but by your knowledge. How did you know? Becomes a broken record they can't stop playing because you keep showing their view of reality is incorrect. You knew that firm would fail while they still invested in it. You knew that person was harmful even if they were still dazzling everyone. You realized that chance was pure gold, even if others dismissed it as fool's gold. And you understood everything without a doubt, since your intellect is not influenced by hope, fear, or popular opinion. It is based on pure, heavenly signal identification. And the signals or frequencies of truth never lie. Here's the tactical edge they will never understand. Your intuition, or military-grade grace, is more than merely knowing what will happen next. It's about perceiving what's conceivable when they're still locked inside the small, claustrophobic confines of what they've seen and experienced. Your intellect extends beyond their restricted perspective, reaching potentialities they can't even imagine. They are bonded by repetition, memory, and tradition. However, you are not restricted to the past. You are co-creating with God's boundless thinking by gathering facts from worlds they have yet to fathom. You're not just forecasting their next move. You're seeing movements on a cosmic chessboard that they have no idea exists. While they shuffle checkers over a flat, square board, you create heavenly symphonies on a multidimensional chessboard, where each piece bends time and rewrites the game's laws. This is why your accomplishment seems to them like wizardry rather than just unique. You take leaps of faith that people call impossible, and nonetheless you land perfectly. You take what they term insane risks, but when the dust settles, those risks are revealed to be carefully calibrated, divinely directed successes. You walk away from the sure things that everyone else relies on, only for them to shatter into ashes months later. You believe in what seems to be nothing to the outside world, and that nothing develops into a glorious empire of purpose and plenty. Their likelihood models will never limit your IQ since they are based on limited, distorted, fear-based datasets. They're crunching statistics on the surface of a shallow pond, while you're connected directly to the cosmic mainframe, downloading pure streams of knowledge from realms of awareness they have no idea exist. They meet in their group chats and boardrooms, whispering conspiracies and frantically attempting to piece out your secret. They pay consultants, advisors, and so-called experts to decipher your approach. They scrutinize your every action like frenzied archaeologists analyzing ancient ruins, hoping to unearth a predictable logic in a language their brains were never meant to comprehend. What they don't realize is that your intellect operates on principles that have yet to be recorded by their sciences. Principles inscribed not in textbooks, but in the hallowed gaps between thoughts, the holy pause between heartbeats, and the deep quiet right before a storm of creativity. Then comes the question that they can't stop asking, the mantra of their perplexity. How did you know? They inquire about the alliance that everyone cautioned you against, the one that increased your riches and broadened your spirit. How did you know? They ask, referring to the pattern you saw before it was ever named, which subsequently characterized an entire age. How did you know? People ask about the person you trusted when they were rejected as inconsequential, but who eventually proved to be the foundation of your success. How? Because your intellect does not see through their restricted view. It does not see through eyes tinted by fear, uncertainty, or a frantic need for agreement. It sees through tomorrow's eyes. It sees with true eyes. It sees with God's eyes, which have not developed yet. And this is what actually shatters them. Not that you are always correct. No one is. What shatters their reality is the fact that even when you're wrong, you're incorrect in ways that perfectly position you for the next heavenly chance. Even your blunders become treasured stepping stones. Your intellect does not only forecast outcomes, it generates them. Your understanding reshapes the field rather than just reading it. You are no longer only involved in military intelligence operations. You are directing reality warfare. And the awful realization for them is that they have been standing on a spiritual battleground all along and had no idea. So let's go further into the mechanics of your heavenly operating system, for knowing your power only strengthens it. Your intuition isn't a foggy sense. It acts similarly to a full-scale military radar station, except rather than monitoring aircraft, it monitors truth. Every human person, whether they know it or not, is continually broadcasting their genuine intentions across frequencies beyond their control. Every scenario transmits its secret truth via wavelengths that most people would never detect. Every opportunity, even before it takes physical shape, sends messages across spectrums that the general public has yet to discover. And you are concurrently tuned into all stations. This is how you know someone is lying before their lips even move. Their core frequency changes before the words escape their lips. This is why you can detect treachery long before it happens. Their energy signature starts to shatter and disintegrate long before the dagger hits. This is why you sense opportunities long before they occur. The potential waves, or echoes from the future, reach you ahead of time, hinting of their impending presence before collapsing into what others refer to as actual reality. You don't read minds. You aren't casting spells. You're not looking into a supernatural crystal ball. You're reading frequencies. You're deciphering heavenly signs. You're reading codes etched into the fabric of creation itself. And, unlike humans, frequencies cannot lie. They cannot disguise themselves with charm, titles, or well-placed words. They just show what is. That's why they keep asking the same frightened question. How did you know? Your skill seems magical, as if you're doing miracles right in front of their eyes. However, the reality is far more grounded and vastly more powerful. You are merely using superior spiritual equipment that they do not have, stuff they cannot even conceive. What about that equipment? It was not given to you on a silver platter. It wasn't acquired from a hidden knowledge shop. It was not granted as a privilege. It was forged with fire. Every hurt you received increased your senses, teaching you to feel at levels most others ignore. Every betrayal strengthened your inner detection system, helping you to see clearly through all facades. Every horrific loss honed your perceptive range, enabling you to perceive beyond what human reasoning should ever allow. You did not only receive heavenly wisdom, you became it. You were the experiment, the training grounds, and the temple. And the biggest irony of all, the same individuals who sought to shatter you, blind you, and bury you were the unsuspecting blacksmiths who created your most powerful weapons. This is why their uncertainty worsens with each passing day as you manage conditions that should have devastated you. They planned a collapse, but you changed it into an elevation. They laid elaborate traps, and you moved elegantly past them before they could finish tightening the rope. When you walk away from calamities that would have destroyed them, their eyes will be filled with incredulity. Watch their mouths drop as you take advantage of chances they had no idea existed. Watch their silent despair as the doors they never noticed opened easily for you. Because your intellect does not work inside the same boundaries that others rely on for protection. You perceive in spiritual infrared, whilst others only see in ordinary black and white. You are receiving ultrasonic sounds from the skies, but they are deaf to everything beyond their restricted, self-imposed bandwidth. You are perceiving dimensions of reality that they are unaware of, dimensions that bend time, possibility, and reality itself. This is when it enters the quantum world, literally. Your intuition is not just scanning existing facts like a biological supercomputer. It taps into God's limitless probability streams, which run over many timelines. When you know something, you aren't making an informed assumption based on previous data. You are reading about the quantum realm, where every possibility occurs at the same time. You've educated your divine mind to condense the limitless options into results that are consistent with truth, love, and your ultimate purpose. You're not simply forecasting the future, you're choosing it. You're scrolling through the endless menu of existence, selecting the choice that corresponds to the frequency of your soul. Meanwhile, they still see time as a straight line, past, present, and future, neatly placed like bricks in a wall. But you've uncovered the cosmic secret. Time is not a line at all. It's a spiral, always swirling and twisting back into itself. You understand that the future echoes back, whispering its secrets into the present. You are aware that consequences may precede causes in the grand quantum dance of creation. You understand that reality is not solid. Rather, it bends and reshapes itself in response to frequency and awareness. That's why you seem to know things before they happen. You are not looking ahead. Rather, you are recalling backward from futures that have already been written and that are already sending signals into your present. As a result, individuals who remain bound by linear time adopt the motto, "How did you know?" They wonder when you walk away from situations that subsequently collapse. They question when you spend your efforts in nothing and it develops into everything. They ask when you say no to what they call gold, only to have it rust in their hands weeks later. They wonder what happens when you say yes to something they dismissed as silly, only to see it result in a triumph they can't understand. To them, your timing seems unattainable. To you, it is unavoidable. And here's a scary fact for them. They don't worry that you're always correct. They are afraid of something far worse. That even when you're wrong by their standards, you're incorrect in a manner that positions you perfectly for what comes next. Your mistakes are not failures. They are heavenly recalibrations. Your errors are not dead ends. Rather, they are holy redirections. Your intellect does not only forecast outcomes, it generates them. Your understanding reshapes the field rather than just reading it. At this point, you're not simply operating military intelligence. You're directing reality warfare with love, truth, and frequency as your weapons. And this is the bit that scares them on a level they can't express. Because if you can hack reality, get access to quantum probability streams, and discover betrayals before they develop entirely in the betrayer's mind, what else is possible? What other illusions have they accepted for truth? What other constraints have they regarded as permanent when they were really paper barriers all along? This is when your actual tactical brilliance shows. You've learnt the divine art of quiet. You do not explain. You do not justify. You do not perform to satisfy their sick curiosity. When they ask, "How did you know?" you just grin, for the reality is not theirs to bear. When they ask for your formula, you remain silent since their brains are unprepared for the language of frequencies. When they ask you for your secrets, you refuse to reveal them. Not because you are harsh, but because you grasp a cosmic rule that others cannot. This intellect cannot be taught. It can't be transmitted. It can't be sold. It can only be gained. Scars are what earned me this. Earned by treachery. Earned via fire. Earned by standing amid the rubble of your previous life and refusing to break. This is the code that distinguishes you from them. They desire shortcuts, but you have the scars. They want formulae, but you have the frequencies. They want a map, but you are that map. This is why, deep down, their fear of you will always exceed their interest in you. Because your mere existence demonstrates what they don't want to believe, that reality is malleable, time is flexible, and destiny is hackable via a direct link to the divine. And once people see it in you, you can never be forgotten. And they have not paid the price. That's the part they'll never confess to themselves, but it's what keeps them up at night. They see the results you have, the knowledge you walk with, and the precision that borders on the miraculous, and they want it. But they don't realize that your silence is purposeful. Your quiet makes them nuts. It gnaws and nibbles at them, mocking their materialistic mentality. They attempt to break it open. They wave money in your face, believing that it may open your awareness. They offer allegiance, claiming they'll be at your side forever if you give up your tactics. They deal with favors, expecting that your insight would be exchanged like stock on their dishonest market. But here's the unshakable, everlasting truth: they can't afford it. They cannot bribe it. They certainly cannot fake it. Because this intelligence is not a transportable file that can be duplicated. It cannot be emailed, downloaded, or packed as a weekend seminar. It cannot be given or inherited. It must be formed in the flames of hardship, conceived in collapse, and refined in the worst storms of existence. It must be earned. It must have been etched into your very nerve system via nights of agonizing suffering, days of soul-crushing betrayal, and years of bearing wounds so heavy that they threatened to destroy you completely. Every scar you have is a satellite dish set to heavenly frequencies that they will never receive. Every grief you've experienced rewired your whole system to detect realities they can't handle. Every failure that drove you to your knees reset your internal radar, allowing you to spot patterns emerging on the far horizon that others cannot. That is why they cannot have it. They want your power, not your anguish. They want your sight, not your scars. They want your knowledge, not the lonely nights you spent wondering whether you'd make it till dawn. They want your knowledge, but not the agonizing experience of not knowing, the uncertainty, quiet, and vacuum you had to contend with until clarity emerged from the ashes of your former self. So you let them roam. You let them speculate. You allow them to invent intricate explanations, convoluted tales, and pseudoscientific models in order to explain your basic, deep reality. Because if you ever gave them the true answer to their incessant, imploring query, "How did you know?" it would shatter them in two. The true answer is that you died. You died for who they wanted you to be. You succumbed to the roles they imposed upon you. You perished from the mask they forced you to wear. And in that hallowed death, you were reborn as you actually are, stronger, clearer, sharper, and untouchable. The truth is that your intuition is no longer simply that. It's the divine intelligence system of someone who has already lost all that might ever be stolen and hence has nothing to fear. It's the operating system of someone who has nothing to lose but everything to win, even the whole cosmos. That is the level of intellect that no training camp, classroom, or book can ever provide. Watch them right now. Watch them examine you as if you were a specimen under a microscope. Watch as they meticulously record your motions, timing, choices, and expressions. Watch them attempt to reverse engineer your consciousness, as if your heavenly soul could be reduced to a user manual. They truly think that if they observe for long enough, take enough notes, and mimic enough of your motions, they will be able to break your code. They don't comprehend that your code, the code of a living soul linked to God, is rewriting itself quicker than they can read it. Your intellect advances faster than their analysis can possibly catch up. You aren't a static formula. You are not a fixed equation. You are a dynamic constellation of divine potential that is continuously rearranging itself according to quantum need. You are a living system that evolves in real time and adapts in ways that their linear brains cannot grasp. And when you display this intelligence, it becomes stronger. Every right understanding strengthens the network. Each properly timed choice increases the signal. Every apparently implausible forecast that comes true improves the whole system. You are not just employing intellect. You are creating something much greater, an empire of awareness, an ever-expanding world of perception that expands farther each day, growing more polished, complicated, and unstoppable. And the scariest thing for them? They can sense it. They don't have words for it, but they can feel it in their bones. When you walk into a room, they feel it expand. They can feel the pressure change in the air around you. When you gaze them in the eyes, they may feel their own secrets vibrating closer to the surface. They can't explain why their masks seem heavier and more brittle in your company, but they know, subconsciously, that it's because of you. Remember how they used to laugh at you? They used to disregard your sensations as mere hunches. They'd dismiss your great insights with arrogant, condescending smirks, blaming it on fortunate guessing. But now the evidence has piled up too high. The track record has become obvious. What they originally regarded as imagination has evolved into a body of evidence they can no longer refute. A single coincidence might be luck. Two may be chance. What about dozens? Hundreds? Pattern after pattern, result after outcome. An accuracy so constant that it undermines every lame argument they tried to hide from the reality. You are not guessing. You are knowledgeable. With each day you travel this holy road, your understanding becomes sharper, stronger, and cleaner. And what concerns them the most is a change in their own questioning. At first, they queried, "How did you know?" with arrogance, skepticism, and contempt. They now inquire with desperation. They now ask with terror. Now it comes out of their mouths like a prayer, plea, or confession. Because they've recognized what you already knew. The gap between your brilliance and their stupidity isn't narrowing. It is spreading. You're moving faster than they are. You are progressing while others are caught in their karmic circles. You're progressing while others keep making the same errors, going through the same cycles, and falling into self-imposed traps. Even for them, the reality has grown clear as the divide has widened. You have outgrown their frameworks, shattered their models, and outperformed their systems. You're working at a level where their rules no longer apply. And the realization is what scares them the most. Because they now realize they aren't witnessing someone fortunate. They are not only seeing someone who is talented, they're watching someone who has completely rewritten the game, leaving them hopelessly behind. You are growing while others are shrinking. Your intellect does not just gather facts, it amplifies it. With each usage, you get sharper. Every challenge makes you stronger. That's what scares them. Not only do you know stuff, but you are becoming more knowledgeable. You're seeing not just patterns, but patterns inside patterns. You are not just forecasting outcomes, but also the forecasts. They think in straight, inflexible lines, but you move in magnificent quantum leaps. The distance between your awareness and their ignorance isn't widening gradually. It's expanding tremendously. You work at levels of awareness beyond their grasp, recognizing connections they will not realize until reality has moved under their feet. So when they question, "How did you know?" they expose their own inherent limitations. They still think in binary terms, yes or no, knowing or not knowing. But you've gone well beyond that. You deal with gradients of certainty, probability clouds, and possibility fields. For you, the question isn't how do you know, but how could you not know? Your intellect has developed into something nameless, which their restricted language cannot possibly convey. You don't simply identify opportunities, you create them. You do not just read the field, you rewrite it. You're no longer following reality. Reality is pursuing you. That's all for today. Dear Father, I pray for the deepening of my faith and the faith of those who listen. Help us, everyone, to believe you, even when empirical proof is lacking. Let us faith in your eternal presence, knowing that you will never hurt us. I recognize that your intentions for us are ones of prosperity rather than harm, with the goal of providing us with a bright future. Thank you, gracious and eternal Father, for constantly hearing my voice and that of all your children. I give my prayer to you in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you, Jesus, for your love and provisions. I am thankful for your presence in my life and the richness you provide. If you like this video, please show your support by liking it and subscribing to God Connection so we can continue on this path together. Share this message with people who you believe need to hear it. Leave a comment below on your own path of discovery and how you're embracing your divine intellect. Your generosity, whether it's a prayer, a sharing, or a payment via the Super Thanks button, allows us to promote God's message and provide hope to others. Thank you for sticking with us until the finish. Keep shining brightly and face your fate with confidence. See you next time. Blessings to all the lovely beings in the God Connection family.